Hello, it's Pete here again at Sizzix, and today it's all about Sizzix Studio, and we're going to do a really cool make. Now, I say that, I don't even know what I'm going to be making yet. I know I'm going to be journaling, I know I'm going to be using some of the wonderful Royal Talents products and all the Sizzix Studio products to boot, but it's a journey, it's exciting. I hope you're going to join me. Let's get cracking. So the set I'm going to be using today is this one. It's designed by Vic Hollins. It contains these three wonderful stencils and this gorgeous stamp set. Now let's take these out of the packaging. I do love this Sizzix Studio packaging. You'll notice from these stencils that it's actually the three stencils, but three different designs. And if we take a look at this, now this is just using distress inks, obviously. Today we're going to be concentrating on acrylics, but you can see the three different levels and different layers. Now, I can think of a gazillion and one way to use these, but today we're going to be using them in the context of journaling. Now, these are the stamps. What I love about these, right? Some of these, you can put them side by side and they build a pattern. This one, for example, that one, this one. All of these are for pattern building and some wonderful, wonderful textures. And I'm going to be working on one of the Royal Talents sketchbooks. These are great sketchbooks. What I like about them is you can go on them with thick paint, thin paint, using your brayer, using your roller, using your palette knife. And they don't buckle, and they don't kind of, you don't need to apply some medium to them to stop that from happening. They're just really, really cool. So, without further ado, let's get going. Now, this is obviously my registration press tool. And to work with journaling, I'm going to be taking my hinge adapter. And this is the thing that allows you to work with thicker substrates like journals, for example. So I'm going to pop that in place. Now, if you've not seen Sizzix, if this is your first Sizzix Studio video, you'll notice that the registration press tool is the same in all but name as our stencil and stamp tool. So if you have that and you want to do these techniques, all you will need going forward is the hinge adapter. Now let's just find a journal, and you'll see that this journal I've actually made some backgrounds already. These are all ready to go. Sometimes I'll just spend half a day just creating backgrounds, creating textures. The more you do it, the more comfortable you feel with it, the more creative you start to become. And I'm going to work here, and you can see I'm pushing down onto that spine, so that's a lovely flat surface to start working with. Now, let's get the elastic out of the way. Right, so, backgrounds. How can I create a background? Well, of course, we have the tools. We have the palette knives, we have the brayer, and we have the blending tool. I'm going to start off by taking some of my paint. I'll pop a bit of yellow, and again, these are just the standard set. So it's yellow, magenta, cyan. There's a wonderful, really rich, deep, dark, burnt umber amongst them as well. And of course, there is black and white. So you can literally create any color. I read a fact the other day. The eye can perceive more than 10 million different colors. Who works these things out? Somebody sitting in an office working stuff like that out? Life's too short. All you need to know is that working with color is an absolute joy. Working with these tools to create those colors, likewise. So let's start off. Let's see where we're going to go. I think I'm going to start off with this tool. This is what I use for blending. So I'm going to take some red and some yellow. I think I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to work down. I'm going to go from light to dark. So maybe a little more yellow. And you know what? I can do this in two different places as well. So if I want to leave the darker one there so that I can blend it later, but I'm going to bring these all together. So there you go. Because I can lighten this at a later date. It's too much fun. So let's bring that in. And backgrounds. So I'm preparing my page. We're getting ready to work. So I'm rolling that back and forth through the paint, and it doesn't matter. Look at the marks, look at the textures. All this is going to even itself out. You know what? It doesn't matter at this stage if it's perfectly flat. Sometimes you might want it perfectly flat. You can do that as well, but I'm not going back and forth through this, getting it perfect every single time. So there's our orange. We're going to work down. Again, I'm going to bring in a little more yellow so we can really brighten that up. Now this time, because I'm using this quite a bit, I'm going to pop this in place so I can use them together. Let's bring that yellow in there. And again, there's my brayer. I'm going to run it through that yellow and start to see what happens when we go over that orange. It freshens it up, it brightens it. This is looking good. So there's no care and attention. I think that's something that I want to convey, how easy it is, how engaging it is, how just pick it up and give it a go. What's the worst thing that can happen? Now I'm going to bring in a little more red. And I don't know why I did that, because I've got red up there, haven't I? There you go. Stop having fun, Pete. Concentrate. Stay on track. Right, so this time I'm going to come from the bottom. I'm going to work through that. So we're going to blend these two together. Yeah, just moving over the paper. You see that there are marks which you might think, oh, that's a kind of an imperfection. I don't want that, but that's not the case, because I'm going to use some different colors to unify this, to bring it all together. So you can see I didn't use much red there. Now I'm using a little more so I can intensify it. You can always add. You can always add more color, more pigment. There you go. You can take it away. You can paint over the top of it as well afterwards, if that's what you want to do. You know, so you see where I'm starting to put this cyan, as it's fading out, I'm going over the orange. So we're getting sort of an ombre effect. But remember folks, we're going to be working with, we are going to be working with stencils as well on top of this. So we're just preparing the ground really to work with those stencils. I'm going to bring a little blue in there now. So I'm coming. This is a much deeper color now. Okay, so this is where the care really comes in. Okay, because I'm going to be coming from this bottom corner. And we're rolling this through. We've got quite a thin layer, but look at the difference. Look at the difference that makes. And there's still a little bit of that pink on my brayer. Okay. So back in, a bit more. Lovely, smooth application. Right, and I'm going to fade this out. You see how I'm fading that now into that red? So I'm creating another tone entirely. Man, what have we got here? Okay, so let's mix that together. Let's take the last of it. You'll see there's bits of red in there, there's bits of yellow coming through. It doesn't really matter. Let's take some white now, because once you start adding white, it makes a big difference. We create a tint of the original color. And white gives it an opacity as well. So the coverage is different. There you go. Now, if you want to bring all that back together, you can come in with a little yellow over the top. Now, at the moment, I appreciate that this looks a little bit strange. It looks a bit of a weird blend, but I kind of know where it's going. So have some faith, folks. It's going to be quite cool, especially when I apply some yellow over the top of that. I'm going to apply the yellow using my palette knife directly, okay? I'm going to be using this wider, broader palette knife. Now, again, I can put my brayer over the top, or I can put that end cap So that's a huge bonus. It really is. But look what happens when I bring this yellow in. I'm dragging it down from there. I'm applying it, so I've freshened it up. And when I start to put stencils and stamps over the top of this, those different tones, those different textures are really going to come to the fore. Right, I think we are ready to come in with some stencils. That's done, and that's pretty much dry. Okay, it doesn't take long until that is absolutely dry to the touch. Right, so we're looking good so far. I've had a little clean up on my media mat, and I'm about to bring in some of this gorgeous burnt umber. So let's place a little there. And I'm using this instead of black this time, okay? And there's a good reason for that. And I think you'll see when I add the yellow to that, it's a bit more forgiving in the blend. Let's take a spot of yellow, and we'll put these together now. And I think you'll see. I think you'll see once we put those two. There you go. Okay. It's a much sort of see that lovely, now you see the yellow's really starting to come through there. Especially because what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be doing this with a light touch, and I'm going to be using the stencils. So the great thing is you can go as light or as heavy as you want when you're using the blending tool. So let's take, I think I'll be using, now you can, as I said, you can do these as layering stencils. But what I want to be doing today, so I'm going to bring that in there. Now, this is where my wonderful hinge adapter comes in, because it allows me to get the registration, and I'm going to place this on there. And I can keep this in place and move my project accordingly. Okay, so we'll pop that there, and I'll pick up some of this, and we're going over this orange. Okay, but look what happened. Now look at how dark that is. But I'm just blending this through in that traditional, you know, that method that we use when we're using distress inks or water-based inks. Okay, and what it's doing, it's almost, see that? It's creating a kind of a stain. So, because the base color is coming through on that. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. So I'm going to bring this in at the edges. Okay, and I know by having this registration tool, it's going to keep it in place. And I can lift this up. I can take a look at it. If I decide, you know what? That's not what I thought it was going to be. I need to go a bit darker. I can take this. I can look at that. Luckily, that's perfect. In fact, it's better than I thought it was going to be. So, you know, but hey, let's say we want to come in heavy with the color. I can press down instead of using the blending motion. See that, how that's deepened the color around those edges. And again, I'm going to come this part here, just off the edge a little. Because I'm working over a darker color, I'm going to come in a bit heavy. Notice how I'm not working up to the edge. I'm just looking for a kind of a texture. And I think one more, I think we're going to work. We're going to work on this edge. I'll bring, so because I've got a sticky grid sheet, the journal is staying there. It's not moving about. So even if this moves or that moves, the journal is not going to move. So I know that I'm going to get good coverage. And I know that I'm going to get great registration. And that's where, if you don't have the confidence with something like this, you know, then having the tools really makes it so much easier. Let's bring in some of the blue, a little of the red, not too much. Okay, so that ember that was on there, that's coming in as well. So it's kind of almost making a deep teal. I'm going to bring in some black as well. Right. It's a very dark color. Now, again, I'm going to work on top of it, even though there's like an orange paint on there. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter because we're going somewhere slightly different. Now, remember, you can replace these heads. There are 6 in the set that come with the toolkit. Let's put that straight there onto that. I'll pick up the rest. So we'll come through with these flowers again. I'm not going edge to edge. It's about the vibe that I'm after, but I'm fading out. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. Come on, I just want to leave that now. I don't want to do anything else with it. That's really cool. That's really cool. And you know, I sound pleased with myself, but I'm not. I'm pleased with my stencils. I'm pleased kind of with the choices I made, but it's very random. It's very random, you know, and it gets easier as you go along. It kind of gets better as well, but I had no idea that was going to be that cool. This is a great start. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. Now, stencils. Of course, you can take a tool. You can clean these up. You can see the paint there. Another thing I'm going to do. I've still got paint on this. See how I'm going around these edges. Okay. Kind of deepening that edge. And it's quite subtle. It's in the way you'd almost use distress inks or some water-based ink. But of course, this is acrylic. This is acrylic. Now, who'd have thought that you could do that with acrylic? Because to do it that smoothly and that evenly with a brush, very, very difficult. But when you've got the right tools, like, for example, this blending tool. Wow. Looking great. And remember the base colors underneath? I said it looks a bit zany at this point in time. Now, well, it's starting to... So all of those of you who said, oh, I don't like the look of that, Pete. Well, I hope that you're eating your words now, because I think it's looking pretty cool. You know, and it's true that when I'm doing things, I'm thinking, sometimes I'm like, I'm not mad on that. I'm not mad on that, but it's part of the process, you know? It's part of the process. And that's what art journaling is. It's a journey from cover to cover. Incredible. Really cool. I'm going to use this once more. Now, and I'm going to kind of come in the middle. Like that. Okay, so to do that, again, I will apply to make sure that I get this registration in case I need to go over it again, in case I need to lift it. I'm going to take another foam head, apply it to my blending tool, and take some of this white. Now, I'm applying just a touch of that deep teal color to the white. It does make a difference. White like black by itself, it's so bold and it jumps out. Just knock it back slightly like this. Because, right, now, how does that look? I'm not sure. Okay, that's looking good. That's kind of where I want it. Maybe I want it a bit punchier still. I've got my registration tool, so I can take it off. I can reapply it. Right now, if this looks too heavy, what I'm doing now, I can blend it out as well. See, so let's say that I'm thinking that's looking a bit heavier than I anticipated in that area. So now I'm taking some of it away by blending. There you go. There you go. So see where I've lifted it off as well. It's stayed around the edge. That's a pretty cool effect. But while I've got this in place, you know, this is not planned, not in the least. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go over the top of where we just worked. How about that? Wow, that's really good. That's really good. And again, I'm saying really good. I'm not saying, hey Pete, you're really good. It's just I'm just playing around. I'm having fun. It is a journey. It's a journey, as I said at the beginning. We are creative explorers. There you go. And all these techniques, which are seemingly random, the real skill. And when we look at Kath Kerr and Vic Hollins, the two wonderful artists who created a lot of these stamp and stencil sets, they are at such a level where they can create the random. They even though they're constantly pushing the boundaries of what you can do, you know, they can come in and do that, just and it's more natural to them. Whereas to me, it is still very much part of my exploratory artistic journey, if you will. No. I was thinking. You know, I wish I could speak to you at home. I wish I could ask you to think this is a good idea. But yeah, I'm going to go without it because I want to come in with the stamping. That's my stenciling. Let's look at some of these lovely stamps. And this one, I'm going to place that there. And again, we've got the hinge adapter. So we are now using the stamp, the platform element of that. So I bring that down, it engages with the stamp. It's all ready to go. Now, here's a little tip as well. If you need to, if this is not at the right height, because obviously with a journal, you could be working on page 1, you could be working on a completely open book. So if you need to take, for example, say another journal, and you want to bulk it up so that when the hinge comes in play, it's in exactly the right place. That's a great way to do it. If you've got coasters, paperback novel, whatever you've got, whatever does the job. Because obviously when you have a fixed height as the hinge is, then, you know, you're going to have to make slight adjustments. That's fine. That's cool. That's not a problem. So the color I want to go for now, I'm going to go for, I'm going to take some red. I'm going to take some red and I'm going to add just a little blue, not too much. I wonder if actually I've got enough there to get the job done. Yeah, so that's it. It's a kind of a, we're getting into crimson territory. Oh, I like that. Now, for stamping, this time I'm going to be using, we'll take that one off. That one lives to fight another day. Let's bring all of that lovely crimson onto my blending tool head, because what I'm looking for now, okay, believe it or not, is imperfection. I want the edges of this stamp to break up. I'm not applying this with any great skill or forethought. It's about a feeling. It's about a vibe. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. That is completely broken up. That's what I'm after. That's what, if I wanted to apply it differently, I could have got really perfect coverage, particularly by reapplying the stamp. And when you're reapplying the stamp, it builds up the intensity of the color. Let's come in again. I'm applying my ink. Okay, we bring it down. It's not ink, it's acrylic. Pete, stick with the program. Right, now look, remember I said about building up a pattern? Look at how these join together. Isn't that so cool? Come on, what's not to love? Right, again, we come in. There you go. So see the flowers coming through there. As we get into the darker reaches of this background. And that's why I wanted the variation in the background. You know, it's really, really coming together now. So there you go. Just the last one. We'll apply that acrylic. Boom. That's it. Perfect. Right. That's where I want it to be. I'm going to take my stamp. I'm going to pop it into water. I've got some red. I've got some crimson on here. What happens? What happens if I come in here? What happens if I blend that through? Look at that. Look at how it's deepened that color. Oh my word. Over the top of that orange. It's incredible. It's really cool. I can come from the center here over the top of that flower. So it's a constant experimentation, because remember, these journals, this is this is a kind of a way of diarizing your creative journey. Okay, you can look back and say, oh, I remember doing that. That was really cool. I can try that again. So all of these ideas, even though in the creation it's a stream of consciousness, what you're actually doing is you're creating a record that you can look back on, which is pretty cool. Now, a couple more things. Right, now this one here. Let's go this time. I think we'll come back to the blue end of the spectrum, and we'll put that with what is left of that crimson color, which the answer is precious little. What about if I take some of that gorgeous burnt umber? Okay, I want to deepen that. I want to take a bit of that blue. Oh, there you go. Now we're talking. Okay, that's the one. Right, so this stamp, this little mystery sort of triangle-y thing going on, I'll take that away for a second. What I want to do with this is, and again, I'll take my blending head. Oh, we'll take that off. I'm actually running out of foam. Huh. Right, let's have a look, applying it to the stamp, bringing it down. Look, oh look, that's not perfect. I'll just come in again and press harder. That's better. It's still not perfect. It still retains the imperfection, but that is what we embrace here at Sizzix Studio, that imperfection. The nature of it, that's what makes these so special. So even though you're using a tool, which helps the process, you're still embracing the imperfect nature of the marks that you're making. So again, we'll pick up some more of that. We'll get some more with our palette knife onto the foam, apply it to the stamp, and with no care or attention whatsoever. Let's take this again and prop that there. So you can use this. This is another one of those stamps that you can use to create a pattern, this is a kind of a, we talk about our creative journey. So we're making our own compass this time. Let's take one of the smaller ones. We'll do the same thing again. Let's pop that in there. Do we need to change the color? Yeah, you know what? I'm actually gonna add a little white this time and blend it in with that. So there you go. That's looking good. How is that going to change the nature of what we've done? So I'm blending it in with whatever's already on the sponge. Let's see what a difference that makes. And truth is, I genuinely don't know at this point. Could be cool. It's kind of create more of a stain. The way that it's worked over that color. I like that. I like that. That's unexpected. It's what our good friend Bob Ross used to call a happy little accident. And that's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we discover new techniques, new ways of telling an age-old story. There we are. And last one. There. Quick, easy, no fuss, no bother. There's one thing I want to finish with. I'm going to take some black to that blue. Now, because I mixed it in with the blue and the white, it's taken it away from that really harsh black. Which one shall I think I'll go with this one, actually. That's what I'll do. Okay, now I'm coming across at a slight angle. We'll apply the black direct, there you go, onto the sponge. So I've used this for 3 different shades. Why? Well, I've run out of foam heads. I've used them all and I've dumped them all in water. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a make, do and mend thing. Look at that. See the difference? Now, if that was black, even though that's got real punch to it, the blue is coming through, the white is coming through. So it's taking it off, taking it away from that harsh black. Let's put this one, so we're creating this repeating pattern. It can go off the edge of the page. This time, I'm not going all the way. See, I left that deliberately. That was a deliberate ploy on my part. When I do and say these things, I should tell you in advance, shouldn't I? In case you think I'm just making it up as I go along. So what I'm going to do now, okay, I'm going to work on the top, but not on the base. So this will have loads of pigment. Towards the bottom, will not. See how that's fading out there. Right, let's. I think I'll go a couple more. See, you still get an image. Now, so this time I just need a little, that's fading out from there. Maybe just a little bit of paint this time. So it's fading as we go. Oh, I'll add to the top. What the heck. There you go. And finally, just to echo what's going on there, I'll come off the edge here. Press that down. There you go. That's it. That's the center. That lovely splodge, that deep, dramatic kind of black. And again, we'll go over these edges. We'll use that black paint to deepen that accordingly. Wow. Cool. Really cool. One last thing. Now, I do need to get some white. Shall I use this stamp? Yeah, I think I will, you know. But this time, I'm going to take this away and I'm going to pop it in the water. But I'm going to take one out of the water. Now, this is soaking wet, okay? I'm going to take some kitchen paper, just going to dry that, and it's ready to go. So that's it. That's all you need to do. The paint's out of it. It's been soaking in water. It's ready to go, and I can now use it to reapply some of that paint. And I've still got that black, a little bit of that on my palette now. So let's take some white now. Let's pop that in there. Now, I want to show you another way of applying paint to a stamp, okay? And it's by using the brayer. So you don't have to apply it all the time with this tool. You can use the brayer if you wish. So there you go. We made that color. You don't need to blend it too much because obviously the brayer head does a lot of the blending for it. And you can even create like an ombre look if you wish, if you prefer. Let's move this across to here. So I'm going to pick up the stamp. Let's take this off so it's so you guys can see it more clearly. Okay. And then using my brayer, just going over the top like that. There you go. If you wanted it heavier in certain places, okay, if you wanted that paint to be heavier or to be slightly more blotchy, you could then take, oh, there it is. You could take this, you could pick up some of that paint. You could come in different areas. Okay, so it's about, again, we're talking about the imperfection. This is going to go down somewhere around here. Let's bring that in. Press it right in. And there we are. You see that? Oh, yeah. That's not quite come out in the middle, but it doesn't matter because we've got a registration press, because we've got a hinge adapter. We can just go in and do it again. So let's pick up some more paint. Apply that. There you go. Now I love that. I love how subtle that grey is. But what if I wanted it a bit lighter? Well, let's apply my paint direct to the tool. Use my media mat. Bring it in. There you go. It's starting to come through. But the point is, you can keep reapplying until you get this exactly where and how you want it. There you go. It's very subtle. It's a lovely effect. It's going from left to right. I've still got paint on here. How about if I come this time in the lowest corner over the darkest areas, and I start to just lighten that edge ever so subtly. It all adds to the effect. And I could keep going. I could stop here. I could put a sentiment or a phrase. I could add pictures to this. I could add photographs, whatever. It's wherever you want to go. I could take some text out of a book. I could add that. You know, again, it doesn't really matter. Every time you're creating something new, something fresh, something vibrant, something quite special. Let's take a look at a few other makes that same but different. Same but different. And so this one, there's so little going on. It's about using the space and the drama that creates. Mid-century modern, you know, play around with the colors. Them and that lovely flower field, I think I've shown it before. See, same stamp. So here I've used the layered elements, okay. That I've used a different one. This is all from the same set, the set that we just saw. Remember that one that I was thinking about using? Well, I've actually used it in that one. Just everyone is different. Everyone is different. But you know what? We've talked about journals and so on and so forth. If you want to work on the flat, if you just want to make backgrounds, you know, cut them up into strips, create textures, use it in your card making. Look at that. These are ones that didn't make the cut. How about, here you go, all from different sets, from Vic and Kat's sets. This one, wow, stenciling, the stamping, obviously, you can see that coming in. These are just pieces which have been cut from backgrounds. They are going to be used at some point. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I create a stat. I've got lots and lots of these going on. There you go. Different backgrounds, same stencil set, very different colorways. There's another card with a sentiment. There's another one. How about this one? And finally, that one. So I think what I'm trying to say is, it's whatever you want it to be. You can take this wherever you want it to go. It is about a creative journey. How many times have I said that? About half a dozen times. But that's what it is. And it's very exciting. It's very exciting. You go down that rabbit hole, you start splashing acrylics and inks and what have you about. And it doesn't matter what level of expertise you think you're at. This is a very good level. And having these fantastic tools, these Sizzix Studio tools, these Royal Talons paints, makes such a difference. I cannot say that. And I've enjoyed this so much. Just that make itself, but obviously the weeks that I've spent playing around with this, and it is playing. It is playing. You know, I can't kid you otherwise. But it is such a joy, just messing around with color, with stamps, with stencils, with imagery. It is. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and I do hope that it's encouraged some of you. Maybe you're a little reticent to give this a go. Just, you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? It is so much fun. Thanks again. I've been Pete, and I'll see you again soon.